What's up, baddies? Today's video is one of those situations where the signs were always there. The red flags were practically screaming, and yet someone still chose to ignore every single warning sign because they were too busy chasing a fantasy. And unfortunately for Claressa Shields, that fantasy has officially come crashing down. After months of flexing her relationship, declaring Papoose the love of her life, and throwing slick shots at Remy Ma any chance she got, Claressa is now allegedly claiming that Papoose played her, used her for financial gain, and never had any real intention of leaving his wife. And honestly, the internet is not surprised, not even a little bit. So today we're breaking down how this relationship started, how it was fueled by ego and public validation, how Claressa positioned herself against Remy Ma, and how Christmas was the final straw that exposed exactly where Papoose's priorities really lie. Because when the holidays came around, fantasy met reality real fast. Let's get into it. For a long time, Claressa Shields was selling the idea that Papoose was her dream man, her emotional safe space, her protector, her biggest supporter, and the key to her happiness. She didn't just say she liked him, she said being with him was the cheat code to life. And when someone talks like that, you can already tell they are deeply emotionally invested. Claressa repeatedly emphasized how different Papoose was from any man she had ever been with before. She spoke about how he spoke to her, how he supported her career, and how safe he made her feel emotionally. She even went viral for proudly stating that despite being a strong, physically dominant athlete, she was very submissive to her man because he was such a good man. In her mind, this was grown woman love. But what Claressa never seemed to fully acknowledge, or maybe just chose to ignore, was the fact that Papoose was still legally married. No divorce finalized, no clean break, no official closure, just separation, confusion, and unresolved emotional ties. And any time a relationship starts in that kind of gray area, it almost always ends messy. From the very beginning, Claressa's relationship with Papoose wasn't just about love, it was about comparison. It was about being chosen over Remy Ma. And whether Claressa realizes it or not, Remy was always the invisible third person in that relationship. Claressa was constantly reacting to Remy, shading Remy, or responding to narratives involving Remy. She positioned herself as the upgraded version, the woman who was getting the love Remy supposedly never appreciated or experienced. Even when Remy exposed text messages that suggested Papoose wasn't really providing the way Claressa claimed, Claressa doubled down instead of taking a step back. She insisted Remy was jealous. She insisted Remy was bitter. She insisted that what she and Papoose had was real and different. And the more Remy stayed silent, the louder Claressa became. That imbalance alone told the entire story. Because when someone is genuinely secure in their relationship, they don't need to convince the internet. Things became noticeably uncomfortable during Papoose's appearance on The Breakfast Club. What was supposed to be a solo promo interview quickly turned into a relationship defense tour once Claressa inserted herself into the conversation. The moment DJ Envy mentioned Remy Ma, Claressa's demeanor changed completely. She pulled up a chair, leaned forward, and began speaking with authority, dismissing the marriage, downplaying Remy's role, and asserting that everyone had moved on and was happy. But the hosts weren't just watching Claressa, they were watching Papoose. And Papoose looked tense. His body language shifted, his tone softened. He seemed uncomfortable with how aggressively Claressa was inserting herself into a situation that was still legally and emotionally unresolved. And that right there was the biggest tell. Because when a man truly stands behind a woman, he doesn't let her fight battles he hasn't finished himself. That interview wasn't confidence, it was insecurity disguised as bravado. The situation escalated once Remy Ma was spotted out Christmas shopping, looking good, unbothered, confident, and, most importantly, silent. The comments flooded praising Remy for aging backwards, glowing differently, and looking completely at peace. Soon after, Claressa followed up with her own videos, praising her own body, hyping herself up, and making sure the internet knew she was just as fine. But here's the difference. Remy wasn't responding to Claressa. Claressa was responding to Remy. That dynamic matters because when one woman is moving quietly and the other feels the need to constantly prove herself, the power balance is already off. And that's when Claressa started spiraling emotionally, even if she didn't realize it yet. Then Christmas came and everything unraveled. Papoose did not spend Christmas with Claressa. Instead, he chose to be with his daughter and his wife. No amount of explaining can undo what that decision represents. Holidays are emotional, they're symbolic, they reveal priorities. Claressa went live showing her Christmas tree, trying to appear unbothered, but the absence spoke louder than anything she said. There were no matching holiday photos, no public acknowledgement, no thinking of you post, nothing. And the internet clocked it immediately. Because no matter how much you hype a relationship, if your man doesn't show up for you during major moments, that's not your man, that's a situation. While Remy stayed quiet, Claressa started posting designer bags, receipts, and financial flexes, emphasizing that she doesn't need a man to buy her anything because she can do it herself. But that type of energy doesn't come from confidence, it comes from defensiveness. She was trying to regain control of the narrative because she felt it slipping. And the more she posted, the more people questioned why she was trying so hard to prove she was okay. That's when fans started putting the pieces together. When Remy Ma's shopping video surfaced, viewers noticed a voice in the background that sounded suspiciously like Papoose, and suddenly everything made sense. If Papoose was with Remy while Claressa was online flexing, that would explain the emotional meltdown. It would also explain why Claressa seemed desperate to prove he was still choosing her, because if he was spending time and possibly money on Remy, then Claressa wasn't the prize she thought she was. Claressa then posted luxury gifts she claimed Papoose bought her for Christmas, praising him publicly and emphasizing how much effort he put into making her feel special. But the internet doesn't forget, and people quickly noticed that those same items had already appeared in earlier videos where Claressa said she bought them herself. That contradiction made things worse. Instead of looking loved, she looked embarrassed. Instead of looking secure, she looked like she was overcompensating. And that's when public perception truly shifted. However, reports started circulating that Papoose had already been caught cheating, not months later, not years later, but right after she publicly declared her hopes for a future with him. The timing was brutal. Watching that interview back now feels painful, because while Claressa was talking about babies and family, the internet was preparing to tear that vision apart. Social media turned on her fast, and what once looked like admiration quickly became criticism. People started asking questions not just about Papoose, but about Claressa's judgment, her decision-making, and whether she ignored warnings that were right in front of her the entire time. So today, we're breaking down how this situation spiraled out of control, why so many people believed this ending was inevitable, what Remy Ma was warning Claressa about long before the cheating allegations surfaced, and where Papoose truly stands in all of this chaos. Because at this point, this is no longer just about a relationship, it's about patterns, power, and public consequences. When Claressa Shields spoke about Papoose in that interview, she didn't sound like someone living in the moment. She sounded like someone planning long-term. She talked about slowing down her career, being intentional with her health, and preparing her body for motherhood. Those aren't casual thoughts, those are serious life decisions, especially for a woman who has dedicated most of her life to becoming a world champion and representing discipline, strength, and perseverance. What stood out most was how certain she seemed. She didn't frame her relationship as something she was seeing where it goes. She spoke as if the foundation was already built. That's why the fallout hit so hard. When cheating allegations surfaced almost immediately afterward, it didn't just expose potential betrayal, it publicly dismantled the future she had just described to the world. And unfortunately, when the internet smells vulnerability, it doesn't show mercy. Once the allegations surfaced, the tone online changed almost instantly. People began repeating a phrase that has followed situations like this for years: you lose them the same way you get them. From the outside looking in, many felt the pattern was obvious. Papoose entered Clarissa's life while still legally married to Remy Ma. Even if the marriage was strained or separated, it wasn't officially over, and now it looked like he was exiting Clarissa's life the same way he entered it, dishonestly and without accountability. That pattern made people feel like the ending was predictable, if not inevitable. Claressa went from being praised for her success to being questioned for her choices. People started asking why she believed she would be different, why she trusted a man who hadn't fully closed the previous chapter of his life, and why she didn't pause when the red flags were already waving the entire time. But to fully understand why people reacted the way they did, you have to look at what Remy Ma had been saying long before these cheating rumors came out. Remy Ma warned Claressa. Repeatedly, according to Remy, Papoose was never serious about building a future with Claressa. She claimed his intentions weren't rooted in love, but in survival and convenience. In Remy's view, Papoose gravitated towards Claressa because she represented stability, financial, emotional, and professional. Remy alleged that Papoose's career had stalled, his income wasn't consistent, and his direction wasn't clear. She suggested he leaned on Claressa's success, her resources, and her structure to keep himself afloat. According to Remy, he wasn't choosing Claressa out of passion, he was choosing security. At the time, many dismissed these claims as bitterness from a hurt wife. But pain doesn't automatically equal dishonesty. Sometimes it means someone has nothing left to lose. Months before the cheating rumors exploded, Remy shocked social media by releasing private messages between Claressa and Papoose. She claimed she found those messages on his phone while he was asleep in her bed. According to Remy, Papoose had fallen asleep during a phone call with Claressa and refused to leave her house, which immediately raised red flags. Remy said when Claressa heard her voice in the background, she hung up instantly. Remy used that moment to publicly embarrass Claressa, suggesting it proved she wasn't as bold or fearless as she portrayed herself to be. But Remy didn't stop there. She alleged that Claressa wasn't the only woman involved with Papoose, and that multiple women existed behind the scenes. She also accused Claressa's PR team of crafting a fake narrative, one that painted Claressa as innocent, Papoose as loyal, and Remy as unstable. According to Remy, she begged Papoose to publicly clarify the situation and shut down the lies. She claimed he refused, choosing silence over honesty. Remy went even further, claiming that behind closed doors, Papoose spoke negatively about Claressa, calling her unattractive and unappealing. She insisted she had proof to support everything she was saying. Whether people believed her or not, the damage was already done. Before Remy exposed the situation, very few people even knew Claressa and Papoose were romantically involved. The reveal shocked fans and split public opinion down the middle. Claressa responded by firing back at Remy, questioning how a woman with multiple partners could be upset about a man having a girlfriend. She also asked why Remy continued tagging her instead of addressing Papoose directly. That response only intensified the situation and kept Claressa directly in the line of fire. For a while, Papoose said nothing. He stayed off social media, letting the women take the heat. But eventually, on Christmas Day, he broke his silence in a way that only escalated the chaos. He posted a photo of Remy with her rumored partner, Easy the Block Captain, accusing her of dishonesty and bitterness. He claimed that while he was home spending time with their daughter, Remy was with another man. He also alleged that Remy begged him to hide a physical altercation involving Easy, saying he confronted Easy not because of the affair, but because Easy shook his hand while secretly being involved with his wife. That post reignited everything. Remy went live and let everything out. She explained why she cheated, saying she felt pushed to that point after years of betrayal. She accused Papoose of selling the public a fantasy image of black love while cheating throughout her incarceration and even getting other women pregnant. She said when she came home from prison, she immediately checked his phone and realized something was wrong. She described fighting other women and realizing she had been deceived for years. According to Remy, Papoose refused to admit publicly that they hadn't shared a bed since 2022 because he was obsessed with protecting his image. She also addressed claims that Papoose was broke, stating she paid for the house, covered expenses, and took care of their child. Then she turned her frustration toward Claressa, questioning why a young, accomplished world champion would attach herself to an older man with no clear direction. Minutes after Remy's live ended, Papoose responded angrily. He claimed he drained his savings to support Remy during incarceration, paid bills, funded housing, and never missed holidays. He accused Remy of cheating repeatedly and breaking every agreement they made in therapy. He denied being broke, denied using Claressa, and accused Remy of hypocrisy, even claiming he wrote much of her music without credit or pay. At that point, the situation was no longer salvageable. It had fully turned into public warfare. Now, sources are saying Claressa feels used. She's allegedly telling people that if she knew Papoose was still emotionally tied to Remy Ma, she would have never gotten involved. But the thing is, the signs were never hidden. Papoose never finalized his divorce. He never publicly claimed Claressa the way a single man would, and he always returned to Remy when it truly mattered. Claressa wasn't blindsided, she was hopeful. This situation is a perfect example of what happens when someone becomes obsessed with being chosen instead of being respected. Claressa didn't just want Papoose, she wanted to win against Remy, and in the end, that obsession clouded her judgment. Meanwhile, Remy Ma didn't have to say a word. So what do you think? Is Claressa finally done with Papoose, or will he stick around just long enough to keep benefiting from the situation? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, baddies!